That's the top 10. What else is new?
Well, let's start with Millions, because Danny Boyle came on the show last year to talk about it when it showed at National Schools Films Week.
This is the School of National Film Week.
It was weird, wasn't it? It was like all the words were in the wrong order.
Anyway,
National Week
Tuesday as well.
and he was on Tuesday talking about it. It's when I first saw this, which was last year, the thing I remember most profoundly about it was critics being completely baffled as to what it was that they had just seen. I mean, all we knew in advance was it was the new Danny Boyle movie, and of course, you know, Danny Boyle directed Trainspotting, directed Shallow Grave, and Life Less Ordinary, most recently 28 Days Later, which was a real sort of full-on zombie movie, which I really liked. And then
Even though they weren't zombies, really.
No, they weren't zombies because they weren't dead. They were virally infected, although I think it's a technical difference. But
Maybe.
You're quite right, they weren't technically zombies. And then along comes this weirdy little fable written by Frank Cottrell Boyce, who's a very, very interesting and intelligent writer, about these two boys who have lost their mother, and very early on in the film, a huge bag of sterling drops into their lap, or onto their shed, as it turns out. And one of the boys, who is visited by visions of saints, decides that what he wants to do with the money is to spend it all to help the poor. Sadly, in the area that he now lives, he can't find any poor people. His brother, on the other hand, wants to go out and buy Game Boys and video phones. Meantime, there is an against-the-clock race because the euro is about to be introduced and pound sterling are about to become redundant. So, they have to decide what to do with this money. Whatever they do with it, they've got to do it within the space of, I think it's 7 days they have to spend it. Here's a little clip, which I think will give you a little bit of a flavour of it, in which the younger boy has found some theoretically homeless people who he's taken out for a pizza as part of his doing good.
Me feast deep and just made
Two meat feast, thick and crispy.
big New Yorker.
Combo platter.
Who's farmer? I'll have some garlic bread, love. We'll all have some garlic bread while we're waiting.
And tipping chicken. To share.
This is great. Anthony thought there were no poor people around here because of the house prices.
Well, not from round here. Come in on bus.
I come in on the train.
Can afford to live round here.
Well, exactly who's paying for all this?
We are.
You must be minted.
Yeah, we are.
No, we're not. It's birthday money. His birthday money. He saved it.
Puddings?
So, now, my feeling about Millions is that I've now seen it twice, and I liked it. The first time I saw it, I liked it very much. Second time I saw it, I liked it even more. I'm reminded of just how confused people were when they first saw it. Partly, I think, because when they first saw it, they weren't really looking at it as potentially a children's movie. And in fact, in a way, the thing that the marketing has done is very much sold it. It's out there. If you've seen the poster, it's a big picture of the younger kid's beaming face, sort of big beaming face surrounded in money. And what the tagline, which I think they've taken from a magazine review, is a Danny Boyle film you can take your kids to see. And that is pretty much the best definition of it. It is a Danny Boyle film that you can take your kids to see. Now, in an age in which the kind of thing that people are taking kids to see, we're talking 12A certificate movies here, so we're not talking very young kids, incidentally. We're talking kids, 10, 11, 12, and the BBFC have made a big fuss about people taking kids too young to see 12A movies, and I have to say I'm with them on this, because this is not for very, very young kids, but it kind of plays like a cross between Kes and a little bit of Here Come the Double-Deckers thrown in for good measure, with a bit of sort of Sunday school Bible allegory and these apparitions of saints, and of course Frank Cottrell Boyce is very, very interested in Christianity and religion, and it's a modern magical parable that treats its kids, the kids in the plot, and also the kids who'll be watching it in the audience, like adults. Now, it's clearly not the easiest sell in the world, and I think it's indicative that they've taken quite a long time to release the film, because like I said, I saw it last year, and it played at the London Film Festival, and then it was showed at the National Schools Film Week.
Also, there's a Christmas theme to it, which we didn't.
There is.
And as we're about to have the hottest weekend of the year,
yes.
I think it's not the best time.
Exactly. So I think there has been some uncertainty about how it would be received, although I noticed from the reviews in the last week or so, the reviews have, seem to be sort of largely positive. If you have kids who are about 11, 12, 13 years old, you want to take them to see a decent film, a film that you will enjoy watching as well, a film from a filmmaker who really has transformed British cinema, who deserves your support and actually has never ever made a boring film, Millions really is it. It is edgy, it is strange, it does have some dark subtext in it. I mean, bereavement and loss is definitely a theme of the whole thing, and it's not something, it's not just going to entertain the average 6 or 7 year old, because it does require, a certain degree of maturity to appreciate it. But it's really lovely. I mean, the thing that it reminded me most of is Roald Dahl. If you've seen, for example, Roald Dahl's Matilda, which I love, it's a really great
Danny DeVito.
Yeah, and it's a brilliant adaptation. Or, it's that tone in which you're not talking down to kids. You're talking, they are people who, have dark sides and light sides and experience great sadness and great joy, and there's great magic in this thing. And it is a fable. It is meant to be a sort of slightly otherworldly parable, and there are, as I said, visions and apparitions that are completely supernatural. But it's really charming, it's really engaging, it's really going out on a limb, and I am really pleased that now that it's finally out, it looks like they've got away with it. Because I think there was a point when they thought, it's going to be the great lost Danny Boyle film. It's going to be the one that nobody gets. And certainly that first screening that I saw, I came out afterwards about 4 or 5, and I said, I really liked it. And everyone else went, what was it? Who's it for? Well, the answer is, it's for the adult in every child. Not in the George Lucas sense, incidentally. When George Lucas said, there's a kid in every... Well, no, there isn't. Not in me, George. If you've got kids and they're about 12 years old and they're smart, sassy kids, you want to show them a proper movie, you don't want to fester their brains with some ludicrous American tosh, take them to see Millions. They will appreciate it. But bear in mind, it's not for the very, very young kids. But you can be as old as you want. I'm 42 and I really like it.
Trouble with Matilda, just as you mentioned that, which was a fantastic film, is that Danny DeVito's in it, and he narrates it, but he narrates it as a different kind of character to the one who's in it.
And he directed it, didn't he?
All a bit confusing, really.
But it's a great film.